don't know why my mixer's not working, but let me know how the audio is. Not sure if my stream controller is responsive here. Yeah, let me know how the audio balance is. I know that's for whatever reason my stream controller isn't being responsive right now. Let's try and turn this up a little bit. Let's try 25. Alright. But yeah, these are all the accessories that I have for the Battle Masters, which are from the Sage line. As well, we also have the Earthrise over here. First and foremost, all of them, I picked these, I got these on Facebook Marketplace, and I wanted different blast effects basically for all my other transformers. So each of these transforms into a specific weapon, and then they're all compatible pretty much with you know, all the ports on each of these. So we can go ahead and take a look and compare. But one thing for sure is when we take a look at, you know, a lot of these kind of forms over here, they're pretty much all the same. Very basic, kind of like blaster kind of molds. So again, all very similar, smaller figures, right? And then even this one, to some degree, except he has the shield on the back. This one is missing the chest piece protruding out of there. So these guys are different kind of, they're blasters in different ways. And then we also have a hammer and a blade over here. So we'll go ahead and go through one by one just to kind of show what they look like in their weaponized form. There he is. No head articulation. Arm spins around like this, go out like that. Legs go this far forward, that far back, this far out. And then to transform them into their weapon mode, all you got to do is flip the head forward like this, and then you bring this backside, these legs fold them over, and then this heel spur will tab into the top of the gun, so. And then finally, you take these, bless you, you take these hands and then they port into the back of this hip joint over here. It's 1, and then 2, and then you have yourself a blaster, which pretty much any deluxe figure can hold. I'm trying to figure out if I have any loose right now. All of them are pretty much transformed or in their boxes, so we'll get to these. We'll show some of them later when we bring the other guys out, because we'll keep them in their weaponized forms. But then they have these small ports in the very front. This is a 2-piece effect, so there's the wide blast part, and then there's also the smaller blast part. They combine together to create a bigger part, and then this smaller port pegs into the front, and then you get a blaster like this. So again, I picked up a bunch of these off Facebook Marketplace a while back. Haven't had a chance to open them, but these are pretty much universal, just generic weapons that can be used for any of the Transformers line that I have. So that's one. Let's go and just put them over here. We'll get on to the next one. Again, very similar to the previous one, just a different plastic that they used, pretty much purple and black. Articulation exact same, nothing with the head. You can only really move the arms and legs, like so. Like that. And then transformation is exactly the same. Go ahead and flip the top of the gun just like this. Turn it on its backside. Flip. Waist over. Get the heel. Port that into the top of the gun. Same here. And then these peg into the back, like so. And then you get a different effect for this one. You get kind of like a narrow beam with a wider kind of arrowhead type of shot. So you take this, port that again into the front, and then just like the last one, you have a Cybertronian blaster, mainly for the Decepticons. And here's the comparison, so you can see how they're pretty much, again, identical, just different colored blasters over here. So we'll keep working our way through the list so that we can start switching over. Again, these are the War for Cybertron effect parts, Battle Masters that have been sitting in storage, and then we'll move over to some of the other parts of the marathon. We have the core class Spike Witwicky from the movie. We have the Starscream from Transformers 1. We have the KSI concept Widow from Age of Extinction. We have Megatron from the movie, and then Onyx Prime. So a bunch of stuff to go through as you go through here. Again, this one very similar to the last two. Another Decepticon, no articulation anywhere except for the arms and legs. Same, literally exact same articulation as the previous one, so not a lot to go over here. Go over the transformation again, taking the back piece, flipping that over, connect the legs here, flip this whole part up, this waist bends back, and then these heels port into the top of the gun. And then these arms go into the little hip sockets here. Come on. And this one here. And there you go. Almost identical to the previous one, just inverted colors, gray and blue, blue and gray. Blue is slightly different, but again, you could tell that they didn't really change a lot with these two. And then you have two red blast effects. And then the main difference with this gun part compared to the previous ones is those ones are asymmetrical. These ones are pretty much lined up twin barrels. So they give you two effects to just kind of get a slightly different variant on the last ones. And let's take a look at this guy. So he is slightly different. because he doesn't have the chest peg kind of coming out of the front. Instead, it's in its back. So flip this over. Actually, hold on. Before we go into that, again, same limited articulation to the other ones. Just pretty much being able to have a little bit of arm articulation, very basic leg articulation, and then to transform him into his weapon, flip this back over like so, and then you take the legs, and these legs, they will peg in together like so, and then these toes will plug into the top of the gun like so. Come on. There we go. And once again, the arms peg into the hip ports. So just like this and like that. Again, very similar to the previous ones. Just a white blaster, and then we have these pink blast effects. Those go on the dual blaster, similar to the last one. Again, these are all pretty much universal pegs across all the weapons. So rocking dual pistols, like so. Alright, on to this one is different. He's actually a hammer, and he looks like a bull or something like that. So this one does actually have head articulation, or can move up and down. But the arms, again, pretty much limited articulation, forward and back. Same with the legs. Swing out like so. But I don't even know how to transform this guy. Let's take a look. Alright, so it looks like we open up the arms. Looks like the head piece rotates upside down. And then we close the legs together. Hold on. No, we don't. We bend the legs up first, and then out, like so. And then fold the whole thing over itself. Squeeze these parts together. Think like this. So it looks like a hammer, and that's all clicked together. As you can see that, again, the first hammer that we got, the first four were blasters, and then we have this splash kind of effect piece. And then that just ports into the side so that you can create a hammer effect, like you're smashing down on something. Bang, right? Add this to the list. There is the 5th Battle Master. All right, another unique one we have here is Lionizer, who is also a beast. Looks like, I don't know if all the Autobots are beasts, but certainly at least the last two are. So with Lionizer, he, again, different from the other ones where he has a robot. The other ones have the robot alt mode. This is kind of more of a beast alt mode, like a lion with a blade kind of gun on the very top. And then he has this slash effect over here. And what we'll do is, to transform this guy into his blade mode, we flip the tail all the way back, and that'll click into place. And then we also flip the arms back over the leg. So just twist this just like this. And looks like we rotate the legs up and up here, so these click in. There's like small tabs to kind of port on the very bottom, and I do believe that these connect. Yeah, so then these, you can see that the top arm pegs into the top of the hip piece there. So then all of this locks in together. And I'll do it on this side too. Come on, you can do it. There we go. I think this is all clicked in. Okay, and then we need to take the head and spin the handle out somehow. There we go. Spin that, and then that releases this handle piece over here. So now we have a Cybertronian blade. And then we can mount this effect on the back. So this all pegs in, you can see on the very back here. That all goes together, and then now you have like a slashing effect. And off to the last Battle Master here. Again, very similar to the previous blaster versions that we have. Very limited articulation, no head articulation, just the arms. Hey, what's going on, Gab? Just going over some transformers that have been sitting in my storage locker for a long time. Here we go. And these are all Battle Masters that are extra accessories for other transformers. And let's figure out how to transform this last one. But all of these are interchangeable weapons for different transformers here. So it looks like, all right, so the front is obviously a robot. The back, he's just a big shield. But in order to transform him, these hands lock in to the side. It says that they're supposed to click. Okay, there's actually a little port and tab here. So these plug in, and this one plugs in as well. And then it looks like we bring the head down. So this piece comes out of the chest as a handle. And then the legs come together. So there's a little peg and port right there. Bring those together. And then looks like we turn it around, and then the ramp on the back, the shield kind of part, opens up and connects. And then these heels peg into the holes on the bottom over here of the ramp. So that should all peg in. There we go. And the purpose for these is actually they create ramps. So you can see there's little friction kind of peg pieces around on both sides. So you can connect multiple bridge pieces to kind of create a Battle Master land bridge. And it says specifically that this actually is compatible with Astro Train. So you can go ahead and extend the platform of Astro Train. So the last thing is, it looks like we put the blast. There is a little peg, clear peg on top over here. This is the blast effect that he comes with, so you can put that here. So the other thing again is, you know, people can hold him as a shield, or you can port this into somebody's arm, and then, you know, kind of create a shield effect of him kind of deflecting a shot. So you can do a combination, maybe have you know, a shield and blaster combo on a transformer, right? But what we're going to do is, because these are compatible and pretty much universal with every transformer, we're going to keep these out, and then we're going to just mess around with you know, having each of the other transformers try them out. So let's just move them over to the very top over here, so they're just still in reach and we could still see them. But that's pretty much all the Battle Masters that we had to go through. And then what we're also going to go through are, there's a bunch all of these actually. So we have core class Spike, we have the KSI Widow, we have the Transformers 1 Starscream, this guy, save the best for last. This is the Megatron from the movie series, and then Onyx Prime, which I'm really excited about because he is a beast, the original beast, and I am really getting into this Age of the Primes line with I love the lore that they're building behind Transformers with this here. So we'll get to these after the smaller ones. We'll work our way up in terms of scale. Alright, so here is the Studio Series Exosuit Spike Wiki from the Transformers movie. From the now discontinued core line, I believe I don't think they're making any smaller ones like this anymore. But yep, you could see again a very basic, transformation over here, but something I needed to add to the movie line. So go ahead and get that open. How's it going with you, Gab? You just getting off work? How's your mom and sis? And I hope your dad's okay. I know things are kind of going crazy in the Philippines right now, so. Alright, so let's go and cut Spike out. Alright, so here's Spike, core class Spike. You can already see there's very minimal paint deco or sculpting on the face, which is unfortunate. It would be nice, and there probably is an afterparty head that you can kind of swap out, but very, very basic. He isn't a main character anyway, so I mean, he's one of the main human characters, but not bad. And then we have these two small yellow blast effects as well that come with this dude. But yeah, really he's supposed to go with a lot of the other movie figures, which either currently have in storage or they're on display somewhere else. But we're just going to continue powering through as we sort of go here. So let's take a look at Spike's before we transform him. Let's take a look at his articulation. Nothing on the head. Arms sway in and out. They bend at this joint here. They also rotate kind of at the elbow, and then this piece kind of rotates for transformation. No articulation on the hands, but you could pretty much try and get him. He looks kind of derpy, but what can you do? That's just the way he's designed. No hip swivel, no ab crunch or anything in the middle there, but the leg does come this far out, goes this far back, goes that far out before the leg catches like the hip skirt and that piece over here. No thigh swivel, but he does have a 90-degree knee bend, and then no toe articulation or ankle articulation at all. And then to get him into his transform mode, it looks like we turn this dude's arms back like so, and then fold them down like this, and then we spin the arms around like this. And actually this is how we position him into his more humanoid mode. So this is kind of his attack mode, where this actually looks much better because he's a lot more like humanoid. And then we can take these, again, this peg goes into this socket for one blast effect, and then we could do another blast effect here. And now you can have him just kind of shooting his enemies. You could have his arms even out, maybe pointing at different enemies. And then to transform him, let's take this effect off. Oh, before we do change anything else, because these are the exact same, again, blast effects as what we have over here. This is what we're trying to show with all of these Battle Masters. These Battle Masters are pretty much compatible with any transformer. So we could take blast effects from here, let's say, and here, and they still port into the same kind of thing. So again, this is the reason why I bought all the Battle Masters, because I wanted all the different effects parts that I can use for, you know, different transformers. But yep, that's just proof. That's how they were designed. I got them super cheap on Facebook Marketplace. I can't even remember when, probably last year, maybe longer, but I've been sitting in storage. Alright, so for Spike in his transformed mode, well, first thing we gotta do is rotate the head. Rotate that piece. I don't know what difference it made, to be honest. Oh no, rotate it 90 degrees, like so. So the arrow is facing up. That covers his face. His arms will then swing up, like so. And then these rotate and the wheels then go back, like so. And then we twist his arms forward, like this, and like this. And then we bend this leg up, like so. Hold on. These bend forward, so they bend this way, apparently. Can't be right, because this isn't clearing the side. Maybe it is, hold on. So it looks like we rotate the legs. Can he hold the Battle Master? No, actually, so that's a good call. So see these little pegs, these smaller pegs? They're the same size as these ones here. So, oh, actually, maybe. Wait, here we go. I'm glad you asked. He could hold, Spike can hold the hammer. Hold on, let's get him back into his other mode there. Let's see if I can remember how I got it before. I think it was like this. I think it was like this. So we'll take this. Can't remember what this Battle Master's name is, but let's see here. Yes. The top of the hammer is pretty heavy, so let's see. But yeah, you could wield the hammer if you really wanted to. Let's get this guy back over here. Alright, let's go back to trying to get this guy to transform. So I know we have to rotate the legs back. We need to rotate these arms again. This head spins. This goes down. And then the arms fold down. Then the arm folds up this way. Good question, man. I wouldn't have even thought that Spike could hold something, but it's kind of cool that he could hold the hammer. It's like half the size of him. Alright, so it looks like we now need to fold the legs up. What? Well, no, the legs go like this. And then the legs fold forward. Okay, there we go. Then we peg these together. That socket and that peg will come together like so. And then it looks like we bring these two pieces together as well. So this pegs into, the body pegs into the forearm, like so. And I think that's it. Yeah, this is his little kind of like spaceship mode, I guess, or the rolling kind of wheel kind of mode. And then you can actually use these as like thruster effects now. So he's kind of, you know, speeding around with like Hot Rod, Springer, all the other guys. But there is Spike. And I think we can move on to the next. Let's keep going through. I'm just trying to stay tidy here by assembling all the instructions, keeping them in this bin here to make sure we're all good. You know what, I'll keep Spike out because technically we could use his effects probably on somebody else anyway. Let's go on to the next one. Let's jump into the Bayverse. So I know that there's a lot of controversy around Bayverse for sure. The robot modes definitely aren't the best, but the alt modes are probably some of the coolest things. I got out of Transformers for a really long time when I was a kid. A lot of them were hand-me-downs, and I was pretty much raised during G2. So I didn't really like a lot of those designs, and then all the Chug stuff that was kind of released over the years, never really had an affinity for them, whether they were Combiner Wars, Power of the Primes, whatever else. But the Bayverse definitely got me in just because the thought of real cars always I thought was really cool with these types of Transformers. So let's go ahead, and I know this is a concept of a McLaren female Decepticon, which I don't believe that they ever released in the movie, but we'll go ahead, and I can't wait to add this McLaren to the car collection. That's really why I like the Bayverse, to be honest. It's more about building a car collection than the robot collection. So we'll go ahead and open this one up. See what kind of accessories she has here. Alright, so this is KSI Concept Widow in hand. Really cool because she is, again, a unique design. There are very few female Transformers in the entire series, to be honest. I mean, aside from Alita 1, RC, the usual ones that you see, you know, you don't see a lot of them, but you could tell by just like the look. You know, she's a lot more feminine, she's a lot more slender, a lot slimmer in the arms compared to some of the other movie bots and stuff like that. So we'll get into this a little closer. But she also does have these two cannons identical over here, and they do have these smaller ports. So I think all of these are all female ports, so these won't be compatible. We'll have to find some type of effect. Maybe this one here. No, you can see again, these are all pretty much the same smaller port, so you won't be able to use these ones together. But I know that there are some that do have that that smaller peg. But let's take a look at her. Looks like before we put the accessories, the cannons on, let's take a look really basically at the articulation. We're just kind of having her in hand, so you know, mainly orange and black or gray plastic with some silver paint decos, and then we have some clear plastic on the sides over here. Head is nicely sculpted there, very expressive, again very feminine. And then with the head, it's on a ball joint, so limited articulation around here, mainly due to kind of like the hair, and then these shoulder parts over here look up and down slightly. Arms can move around, again hindered by this big shoulder kind of piece, but can come up this high. No butterfly joint. There is a drop down kind of for transformation, so we'll get into that later on. There is a bicep swivel. You have a 90-degree arm bend over here, and then no hand articulation, just a standard hand there. And this is where we can show the Battle Masters. So first and foremost, we can use her her weapons here and then just port them, I believe, onto her hands. Let's see here. I'm gonna figure out how to port these on. There we go. So there's these little grips over here, and we just tab them in, and then they cling on as like forearm blasters. There you go. So she can have dual blasters on the outside, but then because again we have all these Battle Masters, if we want, we can give her a sword, and then we can also give her a blaster here. And there you go. Just showing again the compatibility between the different lines. Again, these are the War for Cybertron Trilogy, Siege, and Earthrise Battle Masters, and then this is a Bayverse figure, but because they have all that 5mm port, they can work with each other. So what we'll do is let's go ahead and go over more articulation here. We were talking about the hands before we got into the weapons, but no waist articulation, no ab crunch, but her leg comes out this far, goes back this far, goes out this far. This orange piece comes into contact with like the body, so it kind of hinders that. And then the hip is kind of just on ball joints there. You have a upper thigh swivel over here. Your knee can bend up this far, but the back will start to come into contact with the thigh. And then the toe has some basic click articulation, mainly for transformation, I believe. And I don't believe there's a hinge or tilt. Doesn't look like there's any pivot. So all good. but still a very interesting transformer to have. Let's go ahead and get her into her car mode, because that's why I picked her up, to get the McLaren. Add that to the list. So, alright, here she is in hand. First thing we do is we flip the knee caps up. Or it looks like they were already up, but yeah, the knees go flush to the very top. And then we also bring in the toes, like so. And then we turn her around, and then we flip the back of the calf like so. And then we unfold these inner parts here. I believe it's going to be the hood of the car. Okay. So unfold, and we just keep unfolding until we get the whole top of the car pretty much. Just kind of crazy. Very cool. Alright, now we bring the entire top section of the car together, so this all should snap in. Just trying to make sure this is all connected properly. Starting at the lower bottom piece here. There we go. Link that in. Link that in. Port this piece here. Link the top. Squeeze this back in. There we go. Now everything here looks pretty good. And then we actually have storage for the gun arms. So these two come off the forearm. Come on, that's one. This is two. So these two pieces, you take this peg, this one here, and you port it in the back of the car in these two slots here. So we'll put one like this. Come on, you can do it. All right, one is in there. Let's get the second one over here. Trying to line up that peg. There we go. Want to make sure it's in there so it's easier to transform later. I want to make sure sometimes you don't get enough clearance and then different parts are kind of bulging out and stuff. Looks like I can move it up a little bit more. There we go. Those are in. Now it looks like we pull these apart, or this part rotates down. And then they lock into the sides here, so. Trying to get this to line up. I don't know if the knees need to bend forward or what, but I want to make sure that's nice and flush. And we fold back the other side here. There we go. And then we flip out the bottom piece here. What's Doors go up. The head goes down. And then that peg goes into this piece here. All right, that's all clicked in. And then her arms swing down into the body as well. So, like so. Just trying to figure out which way they point. Looks like they point down. And in. And a lot of clearance here, so I'm just trying to make everything work. There we go. Okay. Oops. Come on, you can do it. Okay, I think everything in the middle there is where it's supposed to be. And then we flip this over. And then click in the doors on the side. So these have a hinge there, you just rotate that down. Same here. And then there's this peg or a port over here, so the door will port in on both sides. And then the top comes all the way over. So first we'll lock in the back part here. So bring these pieces together on both sides, and then trying to get the door around the top. I feel like almost the side shouldn't lock in yet because you got to get the hood piece kind of like underneath, or the, yeah, all of this hood part on the outside of the car. So just gonna try and squeeze it there, just pull apart on the sides just to get the top all in, and then this all comes together as well in the front, and then tabs in. And then this back part folds down with the McLaren logo there, and that is it. I'm just trying to get it all, everything a little bit more fixed up, because it is a little bit gappy over here, which is still okay. But yeah, this is the KSI Widow in its car mode, which is pretty cool. Nice orange McLaren. And this is what I'm saying, is like when you compare, you know, these car modes to the Cybertronian ones, like these are pretty awesome because they are licensed vehicles straight from the movie, and happy to add it to the list. So we are down, let's see here, we had 7 of the Battle Masters. We had a core class Spite Wiki from the Transformer movie. These are all from War for Cybertron. We have the KSI Widow from Age of Extinction. Throwing all my instructions into this bin for now, and then I'll sort them out later on. I do have a couple Ziplocs that are already sorted by series. All right, let's work our way over into more deluxe stuff, and then we'll finally get our way over into the leader class Megatron and Onyx Prime, which I'm super excited about. So far we've gone through two War for Cybertron series. We have Siege, Earthrise. We did the Transformers movie. We did the Age of Extinction, and then now we're going to another multiverse, which is Transformers 1, which was a really good movie. I really wish that they kept it going. I really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, and wish I kind of watched it in theaters instead of actually watching it on stream. But in any case, Starscream is the latest edition that I have. I do have a couple of the YOLO Park model kits and a couple of the deluxe figures from the movie. I think Sentinel Prime as well I have sealed, so I got to get him out because he's a nice comparison to compare the Cybertronian jet modes side by side. But now again, we're on to, how many did I say? 1, 2 product lines, 3 product lines, 4 or 5. So this will be the 5th multiverse of Transformers that we have here. So Starscream got this up at EB Games or GameStop, depending on where you are, with the Onyx discount, so cheaper than this, 15% off, which is great. And then we have the window packaging here. This guy's transforms in 30 steps. Starscream movie art here. Nothing on this side, just his name on top. Legal stuff on the bottom. And you could see him from the movie, as well as the alt mode, and then the robot mode that we already have over here. So let's go ahead and cut this guy open. We went through the entire 6 Constructicons from the movie as well, so you can go back into my stream from yesterday if you wanted to see me compile my my Devastator there. Looks like we got some null rays here. Come on. Looks like Starscream is some assembly required with all these 2 null rays, and I'm not sure what these parts here are, but before we take a look at him, let's take a look at the instructions and see how he's supposed to be, because sometimes when you get them in the box, again, there is some assembly required to get them into what they're supposed to look like. So first and foremost, he has 2 blasters, which are these 2 here. So what we'll do is, it looks like we could put a gun in each hand, like so. 1 and 2. And we can have Starscream posed with these 2 blasters. And then it also looks like we can combine these 2. So this flat peg ports into the top of that port, just to get one. I think it's like this. Is it one piece? So we can just have a bigger single gun. but then we can also store it on the back with this peg here. So that is that. And then finally his null rays. So we can put the null rays on his shoulders. So that would be these two. Null rays peg into each shoulder socket, like so, to give him his kind of G1 look, his iconic look. He always has the null rays attached to his shoulders. So here's, you know, a more classic looking Starscream with the null rays on each of the shoulders there. And then we could take this gun back off again and toss that into his hand. So he has the combined blaster that we just showed a little earlier. And then if we want to go even crazier, again, the reason why we went through all of these Battle Masters over here was to show again how they are compatible with pretty much every Transformers line. So again, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are all from the War for Cybertron Siege, and then this is from War for Cybertron Earthrise. But if we wanted to, we could give him a secondary blaster. So we'll take this one for example, 5mm peg that will go into this hand. And then now you could see how he's blasting with heavy artillery. And then the other thing is there's this piece over here, as I mentioned, is universal. So we could take this blast effect and then we can put these on him. And then now he has even more blast effects going on, right? And then because he has the null rays on the side here, we can take these two and take these off and then peg them in onto his null rays. Or not. Does it? Does it peg in? Oh yeah, just gotta get a little bit more friction there. And there is Starscream, pretty much fully loaded. I'm trying to get a better pose so you can see all of the blasts at the same time here. Hold on. Turn this null ray up. There we go. And yeah, this is pretty crazy. You can't say Starscream isn't ready for battle when you see someone coming at you like this. So yeah, there's a combination of a bunch of different series, right? We have all of these effects from the Battle Masters plugging in. He's holding a Battle Master. He has the null rays, you know, of all these effects going on. So looks pretty badass. I wonder if his head could bend backwards. Yeah, a little bit for like a more dynamic, maybe pose shooting forward. Maybe bend these null rays down a little bit. And there you go. Starscream, guns blazing. Yeah, a lot going on here, but he looks pretty badass, not gonna lie. All right. That aside, let's go take these Battle Masters off. These blast effects, let's get them back over here. Same here. Put them back on this guy. As Emgo would say, pew pew bang bang. And let's get this back on the tail. And null rays back in neutral position. And here we go. So now that we have Starscream back in his neutral pose, let's go ahead and take a look at some articulation with this guy. Again, he's based off the Transformers 1 concept art. So on a ball peg, move him around like so. Looks that far down. I wonder if he can go any further. Nope, as far as he goes. Looks not that high up. That we don't want to expose that gap in the neck, so he goes just this high. So he could look up. He could look down. Obviously tilt side to side, rotate. Let's talk about the arms over here. Let's start. There is no butterfly joint, but his arm goes up that high and spins around. There's all this wing kind of stuff over here, so you know you just gotta be careful because the clearance. There is a bicep swivel. Oh, is there? There is no bicep swivel. Never mind. Oh yeah, there is. Sorry, just this black part here. Bicep swivel here. And then this bends. Does it go more than 90? Yeah, just slightly more than 90 degrees on the elbow. Hand has no articulation whatsoever. Upper body. No ab crunch. No waist articulation. The feet can kick very high up. Can go that far back. The leg will come into contact with the back area here, the backpack, and then the leg will go that far out. He does have just a standard ball joint, and then he has a hip swivel over here. Then the knee bends quite a bit. It's a really nice far back because there is an opening over here. No calf cut or anything like that. And then with the feet, you have very limited toe articulation. Well, it bends back like that, I guess. I wonder if you could do the Sentinel Prime thing where he has a jet thruster on the bottom, but I don't think so. Anyways, and then no ankle rocker on this guy either, so. All right, let's move on to the rest of the transformation so we can keep powering through our Transformers today. All right, looks like first and foremost, we turn this guy around. We need to turn the wings like so. And then we need to open the wings. No, we need to fold the wings forward. And we gotta bend something out. Is it these? Yeah, these. These areas, or these parts, we need to bend, rotate out, get them out of their locking pegs there. And then we bring this whole section down. But it looks like we actually need to remove the weapon to give us clearance to bring this back section, this backpack forward. So pull that forward towards us. All right, now we, oops. Just came out of the mushroom there, or the friction joint. There we go. It says we got to turn this guy around, and then the head folds back, but not just the head. This whole chest part apparently comes back like this, right? This is to bring all of this up, but then I got to fold this part, let this part out, fully extend. This is probably the nose cone, I'm guessing, of the ship, right? So bring all of that together. And then we flip it 90 degrees. So it says we do this. And all of this should go up and click. So these parts over here, I believe, are going to click into the shoulder. Like that. And then the head gets seated into the back here. And let's keep going. Looks like this piece folds over and locks in. I'm just thinking that this still should have some clearance to bend forward, but the nose cone, maybe that is as far as it goes down. I swear it should go forward more. Oh, there we go. I forgot to extend this part, so once you pull this part out, then it covers and closes up the top of the nose cone. Lock all that in. Come on. There we go. Just needed to click that into place. This all comes together as a solid nose cone now on the top. So that looks good. That is locked in over here. Now we got to work the legs. These panels, these blue panels open up. And the bottom section bends and collapses in. And there is a little peg and socket system here, so go ahead and do that. Those clicked in nicely, and then it looks like we lock in these peg sections here to get the legs together. And then we need to, there's ports or 2 pegs over here, and those need to click in with those. Trying to figure out how to swing that in. Or is it these? Oh yeah, so it's the thruster, like that port over here pegs into the back like this, and then this one follows suit. All right, let's see here. Looks like the wings. Trying to figure out, there's a part here that needs to come back. There we go. So these red parts swing back. Come on. There we go. Like so. Looks like trying to figure out how to manage his arms. What happens to his arms here? Looks like these blue parts fold up, lock into the thruster. They're supposed to. Let's see here.
These legs are a little further back or forward than they need to be. There's another pin and socket that I missed here. Alright, those are kind of locked in. And the feet go in the very back. There we go. Like so. And then the arms lock in. So there's these little tabs around the side here and right there. And then you straighten the arms and they lock in there. Alright, it's coming together. Just gotta figure out this wing situation here. So we flip it upside down, and these fold. How do these open? Apparently these open somehow. Oh, there we go. So just gotta fold this up and then fold this out. I'm gonna take the null rays off. They're just annoying me right now. Okay. Now we flip it around this way and let's turn this. It says we take all the guns, maybe. Oh, the blue gun. Tabs into this arm. Where though? Maybe like this. And then this comes together. Oh, this is so finicky. But yeah, the middle, like this whole section here is supposed to hold that gun in place, but it's so weird. Let's get this in here, I think. Here and here. There we go. It's like an underbelly cannon, but yeah, I guess I shouldn't have taken off the null rays because now they can't. Oh, I can. Squeeze them in there. All right, there we go. We got some weapons going on, and then still gotta figure out this wing sitch. So these, so actually this, folds underneath. Let's open these wings up. And then somehow these got to peg in underneath the body there. Maybe like that. There we go. Whoops. Bend these wings down. Dang, these aren't cooperating here. All right, and I think that rotates in, pegs in there, and then this final gun over here pegs into the top, and that completes the Tetrajet look. And that is Starscream. Looks kind of laser beaky, right? Definitely a Tetrajet. A lot of undercarriage ish going on over here. I'm trying to hide that to kind of change the silhouette a little bit, but you know, he does have all that behind. Thrusters in the back. Kind of see his hands just kind of hanging out over here. But let's go ahead and hook him up with some Battlemaster stuff, because I know, again, that's what we're trying to do, is figure out again how we can mount all that fun stuff over here to show that cross compatibility. So let's go ahead and I want to give him, again, this, let's do the purple blast. This one here, that'll be the central cannon. Actually, no, does not want to hold on there. So we'll switch. Let's try this one. This yellow guy. Get it on here. Yep, that works. And then let's go ahead and get these two blasts. Just try them on the null rays. Does take a little bit more force. Just stretching the plastic out a little bit around. Come on, you can do it. And then I'll take these dual pistol shots too, and we'll put them on the outer wings just to get a little crazy. And there's Starscream, just guns blazing. Yo, what's going on? No chewing. I'm just combining, doing a whole bunch of Transformers marathon unboxings right now. Went through the War for Cybertron, Siege, Earthrise, Transformers movie, Age of the Primes, and then now I went to Transformers 1 and just showing how all the blast effects and stuff like that from these accessory Battlemaster pieces are all cross-compatible. So here's a way overpowered Transformers 1 Starscream. So it looks pretty fun. Yeah, let's take these off, put them back with their respective owners, and here we go. Starscream. So we are down 7, 8, 9, 10, 9, wait, 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9, 10 Transformers, and we're on to the last two. So let's go ahead and get onto the next one, which is one that I'm definitely excited for, Onyx Prime. And I definitely grew up as more of a G2 kid. A lot of the G1 Transformers, they weren't even mine, they were my uncle's that he passed down to me.
and I got to kind of play with those as a kid. G2, I don't even feel I was even into so much. Those are just more like gifts that were kind of given to me. Beast Wars is certainly the series, growing up, that I think watching Beast Wars Beasties is kind of what got me hooked to Transformers. And shout out to, what is it, Mainframe Entertainment or whatever, or Mainframe Studios. They're based out of British Columbia, but they actually produced a reboot, and which is the first fully animated 3D show, and then they got the license to do Beast Wars. So what I'm excited about this is, apparently according to the lore of the Age of the Primes, the 13, Onyx Prime is the original Beast Transformer. So I do have a bunch of the Beast Wars Masterpiece Transformers, so just to think that, this is the origin of, Maximals, Predacons, and stuff like that, I think is really cool. And yeah, let's get into it. So Onyx Prime, the box over here, you can see the beast mode, kind of like a winged kind of griffin kind of look on this side over here, and then all the primes, the 13 primes on this side. We could see that there is kind of like a centaur like type of design to it as well, so it's kind of like a triple changer, which I think is pretty sick. And there you go, on the very back is where you could actually see all 3 modes. So robot mode, centaur mode, and beast mode, and then there's the Cybertronian relic, whatever this kind of spear kind of thing is. And yeah, you have Onyx Prime listed on the top, legal on the bottom. And let's go ahead and get into this guy. We'll go through all the different modes, and then we'll switch gears to Megatron. I think I'm going to grab a couple Beast Wars Transformers as well, just to kind of compare the size of this guy, and just to kind of pay homage to Optimus Primal. We'll take him out of the glass case for today. Alright, we got Onyx Prime out of the packaging, but usually it is some assembly required. I usually say where you're supposed to kind of get them situated in some type of way. It looks like this head comes down, the mask comes out,
which is fine. And then the head part bends back. Just to kind of give him more of a humanoid kind of silhouette. And then we also have this piece paint on one side. We have this piece, which also I believe splits into the bow. Yeah. So it has like a bow effect. Put that back together. And then this staff, but this combines with this. And you just port that in. And then it becomes a larger weapon here. And then this is apparently the tail as well. So this ports into his backside right here. So let's go ahead and peg this guy in. Oh, it's not this one, it's actually the one beneath it, I believe. So let's try that. There we go. So now he has a tail. And yeah, it looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Put this staff in his hand. There he is, Onyx Prime, first of the Beast Transformers. And I do want to get Optimus out just because I want to have like a bit of a comparison. I know it's going to be a little different just because my Optimus is a masterpiece, but I think that they are pretty much the same in scale, but just to kind of show how massive this guy is as a leader. Let's grab that guy. Alright, I need to get back from the glass case, but found him. Optimus Primal. So this is the original Beast Prime. So Onyx Prime over here, and then Optimus Primal. Have his legs in a wide stance just because like that's how he's positioned on my shelf. I have him there with Rhinox, with who else? The original 5, Rat Trap, Cheetor, Rhinox, and Dinobot. These guys are all together. But yeah, like Onyx, I definitely want to have with this set at some point in time. The only one I'm missing that I think everyone is missing is the Rat Trap. So Rat Trap will be coming out in the near future. So right now I have, I think, the Legacy Generations Rat Trap or something like that. But you know, I'll switch out and grab the new one, upgrade that for sure when I can. But yeah, these guys look pretty badass together, and they're kind of humanoid robot forms instead of the beast mode. And yeah, go ahead and put Optimus just off to the side for now. Alright, so this dude is a triple changer. Speaking of triple changers, I do have a couple. My Astro Train and my Blitzwing are on the way. So we'll have those, and then I also do have the Terrorcons as well. So maybe in the near future I might do a triple changer marathon stream, just focusing solely on triple changers. I could probably bring out Springer again. I know I unboxed him a while back, but yes, Onyx Prime we have here. And yeah, I guess we can go through some articulation in his robot mode, if you want to call it that. So starting at the head, it's just on a ball. Well, looks like it is on a hinge, so he can actually look pretty far up. His head's kind of like tucked in, so if you want him like flying, you can kind of have him in a flying pose, just looking forward. Wonder if you could have him elongated. No, you can't really tilt the head anymore. But one cool aspect of the transformation is to get the beast mode, you actually just close his face guard, and then you get this bat looking face, which is pretty crazy. And then you just open it up by pulling that guard down. Let's do this again. There you go. You could expose his face like that. You could move around just slightly. Arms, no butterfly joint. Arm comes out, but the armor does clash, so it does hinder the ability. You just gotta move the arm to make sure that you can clear that shoulder, and then you could turn up and down, but the extra arm over here does kind of like come loose, so just things will get dislodged as you kind of move them around. Bicep swivel kind of like right over there, just a little bit above, and then you can do a little bit more than 90 degrees on the elbow there. Hand has hand rotation, wrist rotation rather, and then it does open up as well, that much. And then the upper body, let's see here, looks like it's all one part, so there's no real like ab crunch, and there is a waist swivel. You just gotta move the hip skirt up to clear more of the waist joint there. Bring that down. Then with the legs, you can go, just gotta bring this hip skirt up again, that far forward.
that far back, this far out, and he has a thigh swivel. There's kind of like the animal style leg with the additional joints, so there's this knee bend, but then there's also kind of like forward joint bend over here, and then the toe. Not a lot of forward and back, but it does look like there's these heels that I can pull out as well. Probably, I don't know which mode, but it does work out to kind of have those out to help balance. And then there is an ankle rocker as well. So that is all of the robot mode articulation that we will show, and then we can get into some of the other modes now. Oh wait, the weapon. Let's see here. So it does say that his weapon is the staff when he's in his robot mode, but I suppose this is another mode that we can show. Actually, no, we'll do that. We'll do it in the when he's in his other mode. Just go by the instructions, just to kind of show at least what they have listed here. So let's go ahead and get him into his Centaur mode. So let's see here. I'll take this off, and we'll also take his tail off. Okay, and then these extra legs come up like so. And then these arms bend forward. And we swing these legs around the side. And the hip skirt comes up. And the legs fold forward, like so. And the legs fold back. And then forward again. So just kind of compress the legs there. Heels go in. And then we rotate him. The head comes, hold on, trying to figure out which way is he looking right now. Head comes forward. And it looks like everything folds back. And then we flip them around 90 degrees. Okay, so this is like this. Straighten out the legs. And rotate them forward. Straighten them out.
And then we bring the arms back again. And then the wings open up. And the face closes up. All right, and then so this is our centaur mode. Just gonna try and get the legs kind of like leveled here. So this is the centaur kind of mode. 4 legs planted. And then I mentioned that with the bow and arrow, you can split this open. And then this ports in. Trying to find out where. Oh, there we go. So this piece over here combines with this. And then now you have a bow and arrow kind of thing here. And then this just tabs into his hand. Or you can have him hold it. Let's see here, this arm goes out. Oh, I see. I was missing this, but there's a port right over here on the hand, and this goes in here. There we go. And then trying to figure out how to close his hand here, if possible. trying to get him holding, like trying to get him to hold the arrow somehow. Maybe like this. Oops. Arm just tabbed out. Just on mushroom pegs though, so easy enough to fix. There we go. But here's kind of like a pose with him with this big ass arrow here. So pretty crazy, right? With this dude. And then finally he turns into like a crazy beast mode here. So let's figure out how we do that. Let's get rid of the weapons first. Gonna compress and collapse everything here. Just a second. All right. Let's get this guy into his crazy beast mode. Oh yeah. To
show that the Battle Masters are compatible, we can give him a blade. And we can give him a hammer. There you go. Oops. Just launch that blast effect. I might actually need to just save Megatron for another stream. Let's just go ahead and transform this guy and call it a night because I am tired. So it looks like the head goes down. And this part comes up and covers face. Arms fold forward. Oops. Yeah, it really sucks. These mushroom peg just keeps popping out. Seen that on some other review videos too.
goes in upside down, so a little different from the other transformation where you actually peg it in his butt. This actually goes in to create a more elongated tail. And then now this now gets mounted on top of the spear in a different way, like so. So you mount it on top instead of putting the peg in this port over here. And this goes into the back. And let's try and get this guy stood up properly here. Alright, here's his kind of like Griffin style mode. It's just a wild friggin' beast. It's so crazy. But yeah, it is what it is. He has a tail, he has weapon storage. And then the last mode that we can do is bringing the legs out here. Extending them. And then bringing them forward. So then we get him to his, it's like 4 instead of 6 legs, so I think they go over the shoulders like he did in his robot mode. Oops. Yeah, this mushroom peg really sucks. Legs are up. Looks like the arms go out again. Then the arms down. Wrap his legs around here again, exactly like the robot mode. And bring this chest part down. So this is his other 4-legged beast form. So that's that. This guy's crazy, this friggin' Onyx Prime. But yeah, 4 modes. Two beast modes. He has a 4-legged beast mode, a 6-legged beast mode. He has the centaur mode, and then the robot mode. So I didn't know that he actually had this many styles of transformation. But yeah, he is the original beast transformer. And I've been really getting into this Age of the Primes line just because, you know, really building on the lore of Transformers for sure. So I did bust my Masterpiece Optimus Prime out earlier just to kind of, you know, pay tribute. Well, I guess according to the lore, if there was no Onyx Prime, then there probably wouldn't be any Maximals, Predacons, and other types of stuff like that too. So this is his ancestor over here. So shout out to this guy. And let's get him transformed one more time into his robot mode. See if I can just do it without any instructions here. Because this is the closest mode to that. Because he has the arms are already kind of situated into the right places. So here, bring this head back, take this weapon off. Bring this dragon head back. Get the robot head out. And let's get his staff together here. Just trying to get his legs sorted out here. Take this spearhead and the spear staff, and then it turns into one big weapon like that. And then just close his hand, and then you can just get that in there. And here we go. Onyx Prime and Optimus Primal. Side by side. This is the Masterpiece version. This is a leader class Age of the Primes, but again, I brought Optimus out specifically because, you know, thinking about Maximals, thinking about, you know, animal style Transformers. Again, according to the lore, the 13th, one of the 13 primes, Onyx Prime, is the like god of the beasts, pretty much. So thought I'd bring these guys out. Just gonna show the comparison. Kind of cool. Like, I think they scale really well. The fact that Onyx is still taller than this primal over here. So at some point, probably gonna get this guy on a shelf with the Beast Transformers. I'm still again waiting on the Masterpiece Rat Trap, but yeah, here we go. But I think honestly we will call it here because it's already 12:30 and I don't think I have time for Megatron. Megatron's gonna end up running me another hour or so for sure. So let's call it here. We went through a lot. We went through 7 different Battle Masters over here and showing all the compatibility from the Battle Masters. We went into Spike with Wiki. We did the KSI Widow. We did the Transformers 1 Starscream, and then Onyx Prime. So, you know, we'll jump on another stream for sure and get Megatron covered in future. But otherwise, I think that this was a pretty good stream considering for the past 2.5 hours or so. So I did back-to-back streams with both the Devastator yesterday, so make sure to check out that stream as well. And then at some point I'm probably going to chop these all up and turn them into individual videos. So if you enjoy Transformers and or Switch 2 and other types of games like that, be sure to like, subscribe, and tune in again. And until next time, we will see you later.
Peace.